A new bill that boosts school safety measures just passed in the Oregon House of Representatives. The legislation honors a student who was killed in a school shooting 7 years ago. Fox 12's Michaela Armstrong joins us now in studio with the story. Michaela?
Nora, the law is named in honor of Alyssa, a 14-year-old student who lost her life in the 2018 school shooting in Parkland, Florida. It would mandate that school districts across Oregon consider installing panic alarm systems in their schools. House Bill 3083, also known as Alyssa's Law, passed the Oregon House unanimously with a 50-0 vote and now heads to the Senate. The legislation requires school districts to consider installing a panic alarm system in their schools, consisting of either a wireless or wearable panic alarm that's directly linked to law enforcement agencies. Through these systems, teachers or school staff can immediately connect to emergency medical services and first responders. If the bill becomes law, Oregon would become the 8th state to pass the legislation. Washington State's House of Representatives passed a similar measure Wednesday. It states that panic buttons would help modernize emergency response systems and improve response times. Our sister station in Las Vegas has been covering these panic buttons at schools there for years now. In fact, just last August, an elementary school there used the panic buttons to initiate a lockdown when a stray bullet that was fired off campus hit a school employee. The buttons instantly put the school on lockdown and contacted a dispatch center. And this system isn't limited to school shootings. Schools across the country that use the system found that 80% of alerts have been utilized for students having allergic reactions, seizures, and heart issues. If the legislation passes in Oregon, schools will be reimbursed $2,000 to implement the devices. In studio, Michaela Armstrong, Fox 12 Oregon.
Michaela, thank you.